No, stop. I've always been a man of my word. Hey, what is up YouTube? This is the Mermail Master coming at you guys from the Team Time Riders YouTube channel with a very special deck profile. In today's deck profile, I'm finally excited to bring you guys my version of Prince Ojin's Satellite Cannon OTK deck. That's right, guys. After tireless effort, I finally put together a build that I'm happy with to showcase to you guys one of the most interesting cards, I think, in the entire game, played by a very interesting one-off character. Now, as you guys know, Prince Ojin was the prince of some small nation, think like Luxembourg or Andorra size or something like that. And they built this satellite, and the satellite was in the dub is like a brainwashing satellite, but in the original Japanese, it was a satellite that could destroy all life on Earth. And Sartorius ended up winning the key to this satellite from Prince Ojin in a single duel where he killed him in before he even had his turn. But in honor of Prince Ojin and some of the cards that were released, I wanted to build this deck. So a little bit about my sort of theory crafting with this before we get into the profile is that I wanted this deck to be all about Satellite Cannon. You know, he had a lot of cards that weren't printed from the game, things like Satellite Base and Satellite Laser Balsam, which I'm hoping that we're going to get at some point later down the line. But basically these cards were supposed to be printed, but they never got TCG printings, and so the only thing that we have is Satellite Cannon. You know, it's very easy to make a light machine deck, especially one revolving around level 5 light machines, Cyber Dragon. But the purpose of this deck was to create a deck that was all Satellite Cannon all day, and where your win condition was Satellite Cannon, just like everything else. We're trying to bring this up to 2020 standards, and I hope you guys enjoy. So guys, let's get started. We'll first start things out. Since this is a Prince Ojin deck, we have to have him. 3 copies of Satellite Cannon. Now, Satellite Cannon is a very, very interesting card. Very much a relic of its time. The idea is it's supposed to sort of charge up its power and then launch it all at once. So its main effect is that it gains 1,000 attack power during each one of your end phases. And if it would attack, the attack power gained by this effect would turn to 0. So that's sort of the effect on its newest errata, is that basically any attack that it gains by its effect automatically goes down to 0 when this happens. So equip cards and stuff like that don't really count towards pushing its attack power down to 0. But it also has an effect that it cannot be destroyed by battle with level 7 or lower monsters. Unfortunately, though, that leaves it vulnerable to destruction by card effects. So, of course, you guys got to protect Satellite Cannon at any means possible. But being a level 5 light machine type monster actually comes in quite handy for this card, and you guys will see why in a little bit. Next card we've got in the deck for Satellite Cannon, not technically a card Prince Ojin ran, but one that I feel fits his theme, is 3 copies of Solar Windjammer. Similarly space-themed kind of card with a really cool special effect. Run a lot in Karakuri decks. It's kind of like Cyber Dragon, but its effect is basically to special summon itself to the field by having its attack and defense when you control no monsters. So you don't need your opponent to have a monster in order to get this guy out. But Solar Windjammer being able to be special summoned to the field basically gives you a free tribute material for Satellite Cannon, and he's also a light machine, which works out very, very well. Now, on to the next card, and one that you guys probably might not know if you haven't been around the block for a while, but it's 3 copies of Chaos End Master. Now, you guys might be asking why I'm running this card. Simple answer is not only was Prince Ojin sort of like a Satellite Cannon guy, but he was also a very sort of princely, noble kind of guy. So I felt like, also having cards that exuded that noble persona would really help to fit with the identity of Prince Ojin. And Chaos End Master is no exception, but it has a really cool special ability. Basically, when it destroys an opponent's monster by battle and sends it to the graveyard, you can special summon any level 5 or higher monster with 1,600 or less attack from your deck. And who better to special summon off of this kind of effect but Satellite Cannon itself. Really, really cool. Of course, getting Satellite Cannon is your main goal. You want to get Satellite Cannon out at all times. So we're running these 3. We've got 3 copies of Shining Angel. Now, Shining Angel is one of the original light battle trap destroyers. When this card is destroyed by battle and sent to the graveyard, you basically are allowed to special summon any one light monster with 1500 or less attack from your deck in face-up attack position. So this actually works really, really well to get Satellite Cannon out. But it can also special summon any of the other monsters we discussed, including, of course, the Chaos Endmaster, as well as your Solar Windjammer. So this basically tutors pretty much your entire deck. And of course, the last two monsters that we're running in this deck are 2 copies of Nova Summoner. Basically, what these are in here for is they get you to your Shining Angels. Nova Summoner gets you to Shining Angel gets you to Satellite Cannon. Pretty simple, pretty easy, and that's going to be it for the monsters. Moving on to the spell cards now. Of course, since this is a Satellite Cannon deck, we want to make it so that Prince Ojin can get to sort of his Satellite Cannon win condition as easily as possible. So, to start off, guys, we have 3 copies of Machine Duplication and 1 copy of Inferno Reckless Summon. Now, Machine Duplication is by far the better one of these cards, but I wanted to include Inferno Reckless Summon in here to give you more extra options, especially after Satellite Cannons are in your hand or they go to the graveyard. Basically, Machine Duplication's effect is that when you have a monster that is machine type with 500 or less attack power, it's like Satellite Cannon when he's special summoned, because he doesn't gain the attack until the end phase, you basically special summon 2 more copies of that card from your deck. Or up to 2 more copies of that card from your deck. So that's really, really good. If you're special, it's on your turn or whatever, or your opponent's turn, you get Satellite Cannon out, use a Machine Dupe, and special summon 2 more copies of Satellite Cannon from your deck. Really, really works well. Inferno Reckless Summon is kind of similar, except it special summons it from hand and graveyard, but your opponent must control a monster from the main deck in order for you to be able to activate this card, and the card must be special summoned. So figure Satellite Cannon special summon off of Shining Angel or Chaos Endmaster equals a chance to activate Inferno Reckless Summon and special summon 2 more Satellite Cannons from anywhere. Really, really good. I believe Inferno Reckless Summon was actually a card that was canonically run by Prince Ojin. Not so much Machine Dupe, but Machine Dupe is obviously the better choice here. The goal, as I mentioned, guys, is to have the Satellite Cannon be, what people are looking at. You're trying to get Satellite Cannon to the field and turbo it out as fast as possible to, preserve the identity of the duel. Next card that we're running in order to help us out is 1 copy of Card Trader. This card I kind of have in here fits the kind of Victorian era theme, and then also allows you to sort of reshuffle things back. And I feel like for the slower pace that this deck takes, Card Trader can help to fix hands and other kinds of things like that, and is altogether a pretty interesting card to have in a deck like this, especially one where the duels are not fast paced and things are not over in a couple of turns. You sometimes have upwards of 20 or 30 turns with this deck or something like that. So Card Trader is definitely a great option, but really, really good at fixing hands and stuff. Do keep in mind though, since it activates during the standby phase, you're not going to get the effect off right away, but still pretty interesting kind of thing, and also kind of symbolizes Ojin's trade with the Satellite Cannon in the duel that he had with Sartorius when he eventually got corrupted. Now, moving on to some other cards. We have 1 copy of Cost Down and 1 copy of Star Blast. Now, the reason why these are in here, Cost Down was actually a card canonically run that he used in his duel with Sartorius. Basically, by discarding 1 card, he was able to normal summon, or decrease the level by 1 of his Satellite Cannon and normal summon it to the field. Star Blast has the same logic, except you pay 500 life points to reduce the level of the monster by 1. And then, this basically is a way to get the Satellite Cannon out without tribute. Now, granted, guys, it's better to run 2 Star Blasts than to run 1 Star Blast and 1 Cost Down. Star Blast is absolutely way better in this deck, primarily because your Satellite Cannon's level 5, so you don't need a -2 yourself to then normal summon Satellite Cannon. This is This would be better in different types of decks, but Prince Ojin canonically ran the cost down and used it. So that's why it's in here. Next card we've got is Limiter Removal. Only one copy of this. I've tested 2 and tested 3, but oftentimes, since the only machine type monsters you're running are the satellite cannons and the solar windjammers, you're not really using this as much as you actually think you are. And hands where I had 2 or 3 limiter removals would often brick like crazy. And so having only 1 limiter removal in here means that I don't have to be able to search it or draw it, but if the duel lasts long enough, and the satellite cannons get up to high enough attack values, then limiter removal can come in at the end when you got a 3 satellite cannon field and end the duel. So that's why he's in here. Next card we've got is a couple of equipped spell cards. Just 2 of them. 1 Gravity Blaster and 1 Power of the Guardians. And the reason why these 2 cards are in here is because, you know, 1 space theme, 1 kind of nobility themed, but basically both of these cards are permanent attack gainers. So starting with Gravity Blaster, which is actually really, really good. Once per turn, you can have the monster permanently gain 400 attack. And so if you have a satellite cannon on the field for an extended period of time, you're gaining 400 attack power during each one of your turns. And that attack gain does not leave when satellite cannon attacks. So if you've got a satellite cannon on the field for 3 or 4 turns, Gravity Blaster will have gained its 1600 attack, and so it will always start at your end phase at 2600 attack, and it will never, you know, sort of get that down. So it's like it's a little bit of extra attack power that you can easily swing in and make a formidable monster with satellite cannon. Power of the Guardians, on the other hand, is really, really good because what you do with it is that when you declare an attack, you place a spell counter on the card, and the equipped monster, such as Satellite Cannon, will gain that 500 attack and defense for each spell counter on it. And if the equipped monster would be destroyed by battle, or the most important part, by card effect, you can remove a spell counter from your field instead. So the reason why this is super important is because Satellite Cannons are indestructible by, you know, they may be indestructible by battle for level 7s or lowers, but that doesn't protect you from Link monsters, XYZs, anything that comes from the, you know, most stuff that comes from the extra deck in this modern era doesn't protect you from it. And not to mention, it also does not protect you from any kind of removal by card effect. And so Power of the Guardians just sort of steps in here, gives a counter at the start of the damage step. So if you get Mirror Force, the counter just gets removed and it sort of resets it. And it's anytime the card battles as well, and gives an extra attack boost each time that it battles. So it's a little extra added protection and insurance for any kind of satellite cannon play that you have. The last card we're running in here might be a controversial one, but it's 1 copy of Seal of Orichalcos. I was trying to figure out a good card to run that kind of symbolized Prince Ojin's eventual fall to the Light of Destruction when he duels against Jaden and he's possessed by the Light of Destruction. He, you know, he's very much sort of in the same kind of trance-like state as most of the villains who dueled with the under the influence of the Orichalcos. But Seal of Orichalcos I actually like because it kind of is a, you know, it's a 500 point boost, which satellite cannons do enjoy, but it also will protect your satellite cannons when they have lower attack power than, you know, force an attack against your Shining Angel, for instance. But when they get to have higher attack power, you can easily store like lower attack power satellite cannons, and you know, and wait for them to gain their attack power. So basically, like, Seal of Orichalcos puts in a lot of extra mileage, particularly in this kind of deck, and I feel like it's generally like tuned to, you know, this deck can get a lot more mileage out of it than most other kinds of decks can. So that's why it's in here. Really, really do like it. Sorry the deck profile is going a little bit long, guys. And now moving on to the traps. So starting out, one of the big traps that made this deck was 3 copies of Dimension Guardian. Now, most of you guys probably might not have seen this trap card before, so I'll explain what it does. Basically, it's a trap equip card that equips by targeting a face-up attack position monster you control, and that monster is unable to be destroyed by battle or card effects. And if the targeted monster leaves the field, you destroy this card. But of course, basically this is a no-holds-barred protection from battle and card effect destruction for any of your satellite cannons or any of your other monsters for that matter. Helps keep them protected so that, for instance, satellite cannon can keep gaining that attack power without having to worry about your opponent's stuff. Of course, you are worried about things that are non-destruction, non-targeting, or non-destruction or non-destruction targeting, like removal. But Dimension Guardian does very well at keeping sort of the satellite cannons around for longer than they would be in other types of circumstances. Now, for a little bit of battle trap protection, we've got 3 copies of Threatening Roar. Protects your monsters from being destroyed by battle, especially from XYZs and Link monsters. So that's super, super important. The next cards we've got are 3 copies of Reckless Greed. I feel like this kind of symbolizes Prince Ojin very, very well. He, sort of saw the profits of Sartorius's kind of situation. And, he wanted Sartorius's Destiny Hero cards, which, of course, he didn't have. It was, a fake bluff. But, Prince Ojin's greed ended up costing him. But these will not really cost you as much because Reckless Greed allows you to dig for things that you need to set up a good board. And since you're in this for the long run, you have Reckless Greed and it's not going to really matter in the long run once you have a strong and sufficient board set up. But you have multiple Reckless Greeds. If you resolve 2 or 3 of them or whatever, you only miss the next 2 draw phases on each one. So it gets you a couple of extra cards when used correctly. Next card we've got is 2 copies of Call of the Haunted. Really, really good card. Very, very interesting. And one of those cards that's that allows you to trigger off the Inferno Reckless Summon. Basically, Call of the Haunted special summons the satellite cannon or whatever, or what have you back. Can act as tribute fodder or whatever, and gets you in a good position, especially with a lot of your battle trap destroyers. One card that is very interesting, Escalation of the Monarchs. I thought about running a lot of different types of Monarch cards in here, specifically because, actually, Prince Ojin, as you guys know, is a Monarch. But Escalation is great because paired together with Call of the Haunted or Reckless Greed allows the fast summoning of a satellite cannon during your opponent's battle phase, which can actually be very, very helpful, especially if you're trying to protect your life points or push forward on a satellite cannon play and trigger some of your other cards. So this works quite well. I was trying to find room or place for Monarch's Stormforth in here, but ultimately I had to take it out because I don't run enough level 5 monsters. But Escalation in here at 1 is quite good. Next we've got 1 copy of Rivalry of the Warlords. Doesn't help out too much, but Rivalry was a card that was canonically run by Prince Ojin, and it's a very good Floodgate card, so in here, worth it to have it in here at 1. For the record, guys, it was the card that he discarded off of Cost Down in his first duel. And the final 2 cards that we have are 2 copies, 1 of each, Mirror Mail and Power Frame. Now, a couple of other cards you guys probably might not have seen, but are in here for specific reasons, the same reasons as the other equipped cards, because they provide permanent attack gain to whatever monster is using them. Mirror Mail, to start off with, is very good with Satellite Cannon, particularly because when you have an opponent's monster that's level 7 or lower attacking in, Mirror Mail can trigger during the battle phase, and basically what it does is it makes your monster the same attack power as the opponent's monster. So this was a card used by Yuma to stop his, to just have his monster crash with his opponent's monster. But in this deck, you can actually use Mirror Mail to make your Satellite Cannon the same exact attack power as your opponent's monster. It will be destroyed by that battle, but your Satellite Cannon will stay alive, and Satellite Cannon will get to keep all of that gained attack power. So that actually works out very, very well. And finally, Power Frame, of course, guys. This was a card run by Yusei in 1 duel, but I think it's kind of fits with the satellite theme in a way. Basically, same kind of deal when it's selected as an attack target. The monster gains, your monster will gain the difference in attack power, and then this card equips to that card after the attack is negated. So works out pretty well, and basically allows you to do, to have a little bit of attack power on your satellite cannon so that it's not really that bad. And also the card does not target, it just simply negates the attack, so that makes it quite even better. So guys, that's going to do it for my Prince Ojin Satellite Cannon OTK deck. If you guys like this video, please remember to give a rate, comment, and subscribe. Really helps the channel out. If you guys want to see more videos or updated versions of this one, just let me know. I'm an open book when it comes to GX character decks. The only ones I will not consider are Zane, Alexis, and Crowler. But any other GX character decks, you know, of any obscure characters that can be, you know, that can be theoretically put together, just let me know, guys. I'll put them together and we'll do a deck profile. But guys, I wanted to thank you so much for watching this video. If you liked it, please remember to rate, subscribe, and comment on the Team Time Riders YouTube channel video. And this has been the Mermail Master, and I'm signing out. Catch you guys next time. Peace.